So hello everybody. If you feel like your muscles aren't just working the way they used to be, they're loose, they're shaky, then first of all, you're not alone. I know personally how unsettling that can feel because I had ME, CFS fibromyalgia for 8-9 years, and at one point I couldn't walk for 1 minute. What really helped me was, as well as doing, I explored lots of strategies, including nutrition, etc. But what really made the difference was learning mind-body strategies, including brain training, but also learning how to listen to my body and practical strategies. So if you like to learn more, do subscribe. Hit the notification button. You'll be notified when I release a new video. If you are watching live, do say hello. Thanks for the thumbs up. Appreciate that. Pop a chat in the comment. Pop a comment in the chat. Say where you are in the world. And if this is an issue that affects you, it'd be interesting to kind of just hear a little bit about how it's affecting you. So everyone's experience might be different. But it can be scary when your body starts responding in ways that, just feel very unusual for you. So in this video, I want to explore why the muscles feel weak and unstable, what the role of your nervous system is in cellular energy, how to deal with a kind of fear of being stuck like this. I know at one point, it just seemed like a constant. My whole body felt spongy and weak, especially when I did any activity, went for a walk. I want to talk about gentle things that you can do to support your body and how to rebuild strength without overdoing it. Now, there might be other aspects to consider: nutrition, gut health, mold, parasites, medications and side effects if you are on medication. But I'm not a doctor and I'm not a nutritionist. I do understand that, for example, going on an anti-inflammation diet can really help the gut microbiome. So I really encourage you to explore those issues. But I'm going to look at this from a mind-body perspective, okay? Because it's a piece of the jigsaw. So as I say, I had ME/CFS for 8-9 years, and my body just wasn't working at one point. So I now create lots of content because I did get back to work, living my life, going to festivals, which was the thing I really wanted to be able to do, being able to play tennis. I share lots of content to help you move towards your goals. And that's all free content, lots of videos on YouTube on lots of topics. So check out the playlists. And let's dive into this topic. So what is going on? So, as I say, I'm going to talk about the basics in terms of a mind-body approach. So the first thing to consider is that if your body's on high alert, then, which it often is for people with ME, CFS, long COVID, then your body is working much harder than a normal healthy person just to function. Even when you're resting, your nervous system can be in a kind of high alert state. Now, I talk more about that in the video that I'm going to post on Monday, how to freak out less. So look out for that video. Okay. So this takes a lot of energy if your nervous system is in a state of dysregulation. And that energy isn't just emotional energy, it's physical energy. The kind your muscles need to feel stable and strong. So you might be dealing with mitochondrial dysfunction, which is where your cells aren't producing enough energy in an efficient way. And again, I made a series of videos exploring energy, including this one, where I explore and explain mitochondria dysfunction in a really simple way that you can understand. And I did that because that's what I need to be able to understand these concepts. I need to make it as simple as possible. So I will link that video below this one. Okay, so that's the first thing. Your body might be in a state of high alert. The second is that if your body's in fight or flight, then this can cause all sorts of strange sensations in your body, including shakiness, tremors, or that weird, loose, jelly-like feeling. And this isn't just deconditioning. It's your body responding to deeper ongoing stress and energy imbalance. And the third thing to consider is your emotional brain. Your emotional brain sends signals to get your attention. Your emotional brain wants to ensure that you're safe and that you are fulfilled. And let's say you're not safe, your emotional brain will send signals in the form of emotions. Many of us are very good at suppressing our emotions or repressing our emotions. So suppressing is the conscious. I'm not going to act on that, because if I, respond to this person and say, actually, I'm uncomfortable about what you're saying, they'll think I'm neurotic, or, so we suppress our emotions. Repression is when it's become subconscious. We don't even realize we're doing it. Let me know if you recognize that. I remember a friend of mine asking me a question about someone in my family who I was having a really difficult time with when I had ME/CFS. And just the thought of that person, just all my energy drained out of my body, and I just felt very kind of weak, okay? And that was literally just by my mind thinking about this person. And the reason why I had that strong reaction is I just felt really overwhelmed by them. I just didn't know how to handle them. And it's only when I realized that what I needed to do is say, look, I'm not talking about my health and how I'm dealing with it with you anymore, because it's never a helpful conversation. And that was it. And after that, I stopped feeling overwhelmed by this person and they stopped draining my energy. Okay. So, as I say, let me know in the chat. Let's just see if the chat is working. Let's just pop a message in the chat to just check it's working. Yep. Okay. So do feel free to let me know in the chat, what's your experience of muscles? Are they weak? Are they spongy? Are they loose? What's your experience of that? Okay. So we need to, if we don't listen to those signals from the emotional brain, it turns up the volume. It starts sending symptoms. Okay. And so we need to know how to deal with that. And I'll share a few tips as we go. So some people ask, will I ever regain my muscles? And obviously if someone is asking that question, they're feeling vulnerable, they're feeling concerned. And the absolute truth is many people make significant improvements. I'll share a couple of slides of clients just to show you what is possible. Okay. It might not be a straight line. Some people do make progress very quickly. Some people take a bit more time. I was telling someone, I'll tell you this little random story. I've got 2 flasks here. This one was quite expensive. It's made by this company called Chili, and this is actually the size of a wine bottle. And I've dropped it many times. There might be the odd scratch, but there are no dents in it. This, as you can see, this is a cheaper flask, and there's a dent here. At one point, I dropped it and there was a big dent in this flask, so much so that I could put my finger there and I could feel the heat of the liquid inside, because the gap had got smaller. Very strangely, this week I managed to knock it off my desk, and when I picked it up I realized that the dent had gone. So the way it had landed, it knocked the dent out of it. And some people say, oh, that's a sign. I don't feel any need to interpret things or understand things entirely, but I did think it was quite a nice metaphor, is that sometimes life does knock us out of shape, all right, and we can regain our kind of functioning capacity, all right. And sometimes it happens quickly, sometimes it happens gradually, sometimes we make a breakthrough without kind of expecting it, and that's very apt, because I've been speaking to a few clients this week who said, well, I've I'm doing more than I was able to previously. This feels like a massive breakthrough. So I really encourage you to have hope, to keep doing the things that you know are helpful. Okay, and always remember there's a Stanford University professor, I think it's Peter Drucker, who says, change is happening when you're doing the work. Change is happening sometimes at a subconscious level, but keep doing the work because you will make a breakthrough. Okay, so as I say, it might not look like you're building strength through exercise in the way that you used to do. It may be that you really need to create safety in the body first. Okay, so it's getting your system to become regulated enough that it can start healing. Okay, so when the nervous system feels regulated, when you feel safe, then we know that our energy production goes online. Okay, production and storage. Okay, so, and as I say, I talk more about that in that video I mentioned about energy. So it's important to kind of explore how you approach this bit by bit, gently, gradually. Often I talk to people who they get a bit of energy, and this was me at one point, and they use it all. Let me know if that is your experience, that you kind of, when you get energy, you tend to overdo it. Okay, so it's not about pushing harder. It's about nurturing your body, exploring what your body can do without getting it to a point where it's just you've done too much and you're kind of feeling the effects of that. So the third thing I want to consider is, am I stuck like that? Now am I stuck like this? So this is a fear that many people have, and it's okay to feel like that, but I don't think you are stuck. I think it's really important to recognize there's a part of you that's feeling that fear, and there is another part of you that can take care of that scared part. Okay, your body hasn't given up on you. It's constantly working to rectify itself. It's constantly trying to bring itself back into homeostasis. Okay, so we need a different approach. Okay, one that isn't forceful, based on performance, on kind of ticking the box. Did that, now we need to move on to the next step. We want to approach it with kindness, listening to your body, responding accordingly. It's not necessarily easy, but you're not alone in learning how to meet your body in this new way. So let's explore what you can do right now. Consider that it's important to start small, and really small if that's what you need, because we want to cultivate those feelings of safety. Okay, we want to help regulate the nervous system. So strength may return as the body stabilizes, not by pushing harder, by just nurturing those feelings of safety. And I talk about that in the videos I've done about how to approach movement and activity. But let's touch on that. So Sarah says hi. Hello, Sarah. Nice to have you with us. You might just start, and we could do this right now. I invite you just to close your eyes. Obviously, only close your eyes if it's safe to do so. And I invite you just to tune in to your body. And you're doing this without judgment. You're just observing what you notice without interpretation, without analysis, without catastrophizing. So I invite you just to gently scan your body and just notice the sensations in your body. And your body might naturally gravitate towards a part of the body where you might be experiencing some discomfort. So I invite you to just acknowledge that. Okay, I notice that this part of my body there is some discomfort. And an interesting thing we can do is also to just scan our body for a part of our body that feels good right now. So where in your body feels good right now? Sometimes clients say, I can't find anywhere in my body that feels good. And so I said to them, well, what about your earlobes? What about your eyebrows? What about your nose? Your fingernails? You know, not many. I've never heard anyone say, oh, my earlobes are really tired today. Unless you had your ear pierced, they might say a bit painful. Yeah, my nose is so tired today. You know, it's like there are parts in your body that feel okay, that feel good. I invite you just to notice that part of the body. You might imagine it as a colour. Imagine just turning the brightness of that colour up, and as you do, it just starts spreading into the rest of your body, sending those good feelings, especially to the parts that need it most. As it spreads to every part in your body, every cell, it starts swirling around you, just enveloping you in those good feelings, those feelings of peace, those feelings of stillness. So you can carry on listening with your eyes closed if you like, or you can open your eyes. And feel free to just let me know in the chat, how did you find that brief relaxation? What would it be like to just do that from time to time throughout the day? Maybe after you'd had a meal, maybe whilst you're boiling the kettle. So that's simple strategy, okay? Gentle body scan. Often when I do that with clients, they'll say, yeah, oh, I feel just more relaxed. I feel a bit softer. Next thing you might do is just put your legs up against the wall or lie in a quiet, supported position and let your system settle. We can use visualization. Research shows that visualization strengthens the muscles. So you can visualize doing whatever you feel like doing. As you know, you can visualize whatever you want to do as long as it feels good for you to do that. So for someone it might be just gently stretching or gently walking to the bathroom in a relaxed way. You can visualize that. You can visualize imagining lifting a gentle weight, doing an arm curl. We know from the research that will strengthen your muscles. So the next thing is practicing tuning into your body, just noticing the sensations, just as we did. Then also noticing the emotions, listening to the signals that your body sends rather than pushing through. So when that quiet voice says, okay, that's enough now, listening to that, pausing if need be. I remember when I was at this house, my parents' house, I was in the garden doing the lawn, and sometimes I pushed through, I was cutting the lawn. Other times I thought, my body's telling me I just need to pause for a moment, tune in. Well, I subsequently learned that it was useful to tune in to what was going on, and on an emotional level, to identify what was going on in my head, because sometimes I was thinking in a certain way. I had some anxiety thoughts, and that was actually affecting my energy. So listening to those signals rather than pushing through. Learning to slow down. In my Facebook group today, I posted a short video which is about teaching us that we're safe by slowing down. And I invited people to do a slow down challenge for 24 hours or the next 7 days. If you're up for that, just put slow in the chat. And often when I'm chatting to clients and they say, I'll just get a drink, and they jump up, and I ask them when they come back, did you do that in a hurry or did you do that in a nice, slow way? So far, no one has said to me, I did that in a really nice, slow way. Everyone said, I did it in a hurry. And I say, what would it be like to just spend an extra few seconds and just allowing yourself to go at your pace? And they've always said, yeah, that would be good. So we can practice that, okay? Being present, being aware of what's going on here, what's going on in my head when I'm rushing to get my water bottle. I mustn't keep Simon waiting. It's fine. I'll give you an extra few seconds if that's going to make you feel happier, okay? So, next thing, if it's helpful to you, journal, getting stuff out of your head, okay? Processing. Sometimes, if we're experiencing sensations in our body, we might need to pause, might need to rest, but might be other times where we need some connection, fun, stimulation, or we need to process emotions, okay? So, learning to notice the whispers that your body is sending you means that it doesn't have to shout with symptoms, okay? That's a practice that we can cultivate, one step at a time, okay? And that brings me on to the next thing, which is approaching things step by step. If you've got a goal to, let's say, walk 10 minutes, walk to the shops and back, let's say it's 5 minutes each way, and you feel 0 out of 10 confident doing that at the moment, then ask yourself, well, what would I feel 8, 9, 10 confident about doing? Might be, I'll just walk to the end of the garden path to the road. So just work out what do I feel 10 out of 10 confidence about doing? And when you've done that a few times, you can say, okay, what I feel 9 out of 10 confident about doing? Maybe I'll walk to the first lamppost. This is what a client did. They initially weren't leaving the house. They opened the door, stepped on the mat. Then the next step was to walk to the gate. Then the first lamppost, second lamppost, third lamppost. Okay? And they got back to life. Okay? They sent me a message saying, hey, I'm in Ireland. You may have heard me talk about that client before. But that's just one example of many, and I'll show you some pictures in a moment. So how could you take it step by step? All right? How often do you do that? Step by step. Or how often do you go to step 10 rather than start with step 1? Let me know if you're a step 10 person or a step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay? So, let me just share a few slides of people I've worked with over the years. So, number 1, that was Pimenta. She came in a wheelchair, and on the 4th day when she flew home, she climbed up this mountain. Okay. Second picture is a picture that a client sent me of them walking in the mountains, and that was in fact 4 of these pictures of people from Norway. The third person is someone again who had lots of muscle issues, and they couldn't wear high heels, they couldn't do exercise classes, and they made this video which they sent me of her walking in the mountains for like 7-8 hours. Okay, this is another number 4, a woman who kind of sent me this picture of her celebrating being able to go for walks on the beach, etc. This is another number 5 is another client who came in a wheelchair, and she, the following weekend after we worked together, and this was the first person I ever worked with in a wheelchair, she went skiing only for 15 minutes, but that was a massive breakthrough for her because she'd been using a wheelchair for about a year. And number 6 is a client who had a lot of muscle issues, and this picture of her is at the Great Wall of China. A couple more pictures. Number 1 is Claire, who I think she ran 10k. It was either 10k or half marathon. Number 2, Hayley, she managed to get back horse riding, which she loved. Number 3 is Ben, who kind of did extreme sports, and this was a picture he sent me back on his bike. And you may have seen this picture of Rob, which I love, that picture of him running in the fell, in the Lake District doing fell running. And what was interesting about him is he said he started to be much more chilled about his approach to doing fell running. He's less driven. I realise I'm very bad at taking photographs of myself when I've done stuff. I've got, when I go to festivals, I'm taking photographs of other people. I need to take photographs of me. But when I'm at festivals, we walk 20,000 steps each day. And, it's full on, but it's like I couldn't walk for 1 minute at one point. So what I want you to consider is that your body hasn't given up on you, okay? It's asking for you to take a different approach, okay? To have a different level of care, okay? So remember, you're not alone, okay? Other people are experiencing what you're experiencing. I experienced that. So I'm with you. I want to support you every step of the way. I invite you to consider that you're not broken. Your body is still here for you, and it's doing its best every day. So if you've got any questions, let me know in the chat. I'd love to know what your takeaway is. What's one thing you could take away? Thanks for the thumbs up, all of you who have given me a thumbs up. So just let me know in the chat, what is a takeaway? Whether you're watching live or the replay. I usually ask people who are watching the replay to just put #replay, just so I know. But what is your takeaway? What's one thing you're going to take away from this and put it into practice? I'd love to know. So feel free to leave a comment in the chat. Just to say, your comments, your likes help other people find this video. So I really appreciate that. If you've given me a like, left a comment. Okay, thank you, someone else. If you've got any questions, get in touch. If you've got a topic you'd like me to talk about, then let me know. Actually, this video was inspired because someone asked this question about dealing with muscles that are weak, loose and shaky. So keep going. Dare to dream big dreams. Keep taking steps, no matter how small. Wishing you great health. You've got this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. As I say, on Monday I will be releasing a video which is about how to freak out less and how that can support your healing. And I talk a bit more about what's going on in the nervous system in that video. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye for now.